I have with me, we have to my far right, our Director of Communications, Darrell Levine, Councillor Andy Schuster, Councillor Oren Sabag, Councillor Mitch Kajowski, Tita Burku, Stephen Erdely, Sidney Ben-Isri. We have our Director, Jonathan Schechter, and Councillor Mike Cohen, and we have our City Clerk, Florine Abu-Nikwe. All right, so I had asked Councillor Cohen to move the agenda, to adopt the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I so move the adoption of the agenda for tonight's meeting of June 17th. Seconded
by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? The agenda is adopted. So now we'll go with the landing with an amendment of an additional resolution to be passed during Varia. Okay, and now we'll have the land acknowledgement and the rules of question period, and then we'll have question period.
Justice, devoir du souvenir, liberté culturelle et inclusion sont des valeurs chères à la ville de Côte Saint-Luc. Nombre de nos résidents et leurs descendants ont construit leur vie ici, après avoir fui des situations difficiles ailleurs. Le Canada a été leur refuge. Mais pour les peuples et les communautés autochtones, les politiques gouvernementales au Canada ont créé des injustices. The island of Montreal, where we are meeting today, has a much older name, Chokeshage. It was a historic gathering place for many indigenous communities. It was also the site of diplomacy, including the Great Peace of Montreal. Nous remercions la nation Gagnou-Geaga, également connue sous le nom de la nation Mohawk, pour son hospitalité sur un territoire non cédé. We must acknowledge the past, so that we can move forward in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation.
La ville de Côte Saint-Luc permet aux résidents et aux non-résidents de poser des questions en français et en anglais lors des séances du conseil. Toute personne souhaitant poser une question doit, au début de la séance du conseil, remplir le formulaire à cet effet qui se trouve à l'entrée de la salle du conseil. The question period at a council meeting is limited to 30 minutes, but may be extended, subject to the consent of the majority of members of council present. Given this time limit, and given the desire to allow as many questioners as possible to ask questions, every person has 3 minutes, to ask one question and one follow-up question to the mayor. Avant de poser une question, chaque personne doit indiquer son nom complet. Après la discussion des points à l'ordre du jour, il y a une deuxième période de questions. Au cours de cette deuxième période de questions, les participants peuvent uniquement poser des questions sur des points à l'ordre du jour. Finally, no person may use violent, offensive, or disrespectful language when addressing a question to the mayor.
Thank you. So we have 3 questions in person and several that have come in writing. So we'll start with the ones in person, because they took the time to come here. Anat Mart.
Mr. Mayor, are we able to do my announcement first? Is that possible?
The announcements are for, sure, because you have...
Yeah, thank you. I just don't want some of our guests to have to leave. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. On August the 6th, we will have our annual Golf Classic, now renamed the Côte Saint-Luc Men's Club Invitational, with the participation of many members of the community. I know many councillors will go out to golf. We've actually, in different forms, had this tournament or day of golf at Meadowbrook for over 40 years. We have a committee, Councillor Burku, Councillor Azarad, Mark Kotler is here with us, Mo Giabi's with us here. We have 2 sponsors right now. We have Philip Maman and we have Mark Azurzer. And most importantly, someone who I've known most of my life. He's lived in Côte Saint-Luc for 50 years, 55 years. I don't know. He'll tell us in a second. But Eli Buddy Manis, they call him Buddy for a reason because he's everyone's buddy. He's our honoree this year. I'd like to bring to the podium Eli Buddy Manis, along with Mark Kotler and along with Philip Maman, one of our sponsors who's here, and Mo Giabi. If they please come to the podium. Let's have a big hand for Buddy. He's now on the live stream. He's here with his wife Marlene, who has supported him when he grew up, when his 3 children grew up. Buddy, if you could just go to the microphone, I just want to ask you, and the mayor is going to come greet all of you. Go to the microphone. No, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, yeah. Buddy, just go to the microphone there.
Yep.
So I just wanted everyone to know, Buddy, you had 3 sons who played in all the leagues. How far back do we go when you were a volunteer in Côte Saint-Luc? When did it all start for you?
Well, I was, must have been, I was 20, about 60 years ago, maybe.
Well, that's a pretty
About
good
60 years
record.
ago,
That's
yeah.
a pretty good record.
Yeah.
And Buddy is 82 years young.
83.
And 83. He doesn't look it. And tonight he was supposed to play hockey. You're still playing competitive hockey,
Yep.
like Gordie Howe.
Who's he?
So, Buddy, I just want to know, we're doing our golf classic this year. I want to thank Mark Kotler, who's played a crucial role. He is doing, this is, the men's club has a golf every Tuesday. Every Tuesday they golf. So this year, we're joining them, and the proceeds are going to go, again, the surplus, to our Parks and Bursary Fund, which helps people living in Côte Saint-Luc who have financial difficulties, and very privately we get to support them. That's why I want to thank Philip from Asante Wealth Management, a Côte Saint-Luc resident. Philip, thank you very much for stepping forward once again as a sponsor. Would you like to come to the microphone, Philip?
It's fine. No.
It's fine, okay.
Thank you.
All right, that's fine. Mark Kotler, would you like to say anything about the golf? Mark, go ahead. Would you like to say anything?
I'm looking forward to the City of Côte Saint-Luc's participation in the Men's Club Golf Tournament. Thank you very much for participating, and our mayor, who I happen to
Thank
like.
you. So just so you know, we're going to have a photo with the mayor in a minute. August 6th is the golf event on Tuesday, August 6th. August 13th, registration begins tomorrow, June 18th. There is a full information on our website. Darrell will just come take a picture of the mayor with the group right now.
Michael,
If anyone would like to join him, go ahead.
Michael, can I say
I-
something?
I took a picture outside.
I just wanted to tell you something. When Michael asked me to be the honoree, I didn't know, why would he ask me? What did I do so special to be the honoree? And then I started to think about things, and I guess volunteering for 60 years, maybe that has something to do with it.
I think so. You're a very, very obvious choice, in my opinion. It's long overdue that you be recognized for everything you've done in the community. So thank you very much, Buddy. And Darrell will take a photo with you and some members of council.
Okay. So now we're going to do question period. And then we have a lot to talk about during departmental reports, but we'll wait for that then. Okay, Annette Marciano. Welcome.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask if it's possible to have a few more activities for the summer. So I got the program of Côte Saint-Luc. We have quite some activities, art and sports. Is there any way to increase the activities, both indoors and outdoors? So in the aquatic center and out in the park also, there's the summer in the city activities. There's a few of them that are good. Is there any way to increase and give more choice and variety to our residents?
Right. Any ideas that you have? Where's Councillor Schuster? Okay. But you can as well. Councillor Schuster's responsible for Parks and Recreation, but we also have an excellent director. We're always interested in hearing ideas. There's ad hoc activities that always pop up. Like I know Wednesday there is a theater workshop that's free. People are going to that. There's a lot of different activities that happen in the community, but Andy, the suggestion is more activities. I know we have a lot, and you might want to speak to Summer in the City and all the other activities that we offer. We have both from the library and Parks and Rec.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Recording in progress.
Recreation offers 1,300 programs every year. We do get suggestions from residents, and that's how we make more things happen. We always have to evaluate, what will be popular. But feel free to write to Recreation, or you can write to me. I'll give you my card afterwards.
Can I also give a suggestion here? Some of us are available to get together and create a committee and work with you and see if there's anything that would work for the city and work for us, so that we can brainstorm ideas of what will work for the city and citizens as well. So if that would be a possibility, I can email you and let you know when we can meet, or if it's a possibility for you to hear our ideas.
We do focus groups for different things in the city, so I would not be opposed to sitting down and just doing a brainstorming session. There's no harm in that. Just keeping in mind the limitations of budgetary concerns, of course.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for coming and giving your ideas. We welcome new ideas. Ian Craig.
Thank you for announcing my question. It's not really a question, but I read recently that the ARTM, that is the overall bureaucracy for all the trains, buses, and metros, et cetera, in the city, have just approved an $18 billion project for trams. Now, I'm not against trams, but nevertheless, I think this is insanity. There's the REM was extremely extravagant when it came about, and there's numerous other projects that are underway, half complete or just having been finished, and then touch up something. You got to dig a hole again to put down some wires or some pipes or cones, detours or whatever. You know what I'm talking about, I think. Anyway, we got too many projects that are on the go right now, and I think, well, I understand you probably all agree with me. I hope you do. Anyway, what I want to say is that we should be looking at what we have right now. We can just make tweaks. And for instance, there is a link that goes on the map behind you. There's a train line that goes from Montreal West train station. Actually, it goes from the Louis Saint-Lallier train station all the way to Park Avenue and Jean Talon without stopping. It goes right through NDG, through Côte Saint-Luc, Victoria, Cavendish, the Carry, Côte des Neiges, doesn't stop. And I think it's just absurd. It's comfortable, it's fast, it's convenient. I use it all the time on my bike. I'm a born again biker, a cyclist, but I'm not against cars. I approve of certainly of the Cavendish extension, and I think there's many other products that Valérie is putting forward right now that, eliminating.
What's the question? I'm so waiting to hear the question.
The question.
I know there's a lot of intro, but I'm trying to figure it out. What's the question?
Do the preamble. Okay. The question is, I think the common sense, why do we not use the train, put stops in at say the shopping center, at Cavendish, at Côte des Neiges?
Excellent.
Good
that's
question. My question.
Councillor Burko is very excited to answer. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Ian, for coming tonight to ask the question. And I really agree with you, and I think the whole council does agree with you. We have asked the ARTM repeatedly to add a stop not only at the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Centre that would serve Robert Burns and the Côte Saint-Luc Shopping Centre, so the two new potential developments that we have going there, but also we've asked them for a stop at the Carry Square, and this is something that is mentioned also in the Namur Hippodrome project, that there could be a potential stop at the Carry Square. And I do agree that we have to use the existing infrastructure, because right now the whole transport network is in a serious deficit. We've just had to almost triple the cost for registration for car registration from $60 to $150. And that's because there's a $500 million deficit at the ARTM that's going to be repeated from year to year. So this is a big problem at the regional level. And so we have to use what we have. So we fully agree with you, and I would encourage you to write to the ARTM and to go to the ARTM meetings and to support our demands. And I can send you a copy of the letter that we did send them, that the mayor sent them, and that many stakeholders in Côte Saint-Luc have agreed to that. They've signed on to ask for a train
50 years,
station.
I'm sure.
Pardon?
It's been happening for 50 years.
Yeah.
As long as the Cavendish extension has been.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
we
you
want
very
that
much.
commuter train to stop at those two locations.
Yeah.
We're pushing for it.
Perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jeremy Biskin.
Hi, so my question is in regards to the group of buildings on Sir Walter Scott that were purchased earlier this year. It's mainly in regards to the management, how they've been handling it so far, and the conditions on the building. I've spoken to my counselor, Mike Cohen, and he has acknowledged and communicated with them. It has still led to the same situation, as in it's deteriorating the conditions of the building. Mike Cohen has interviewed the owner and the management of said buildings in his blogs over the last few months. And in the blogs, they haven't really told the truth. They've straight up lied to him in regards to them communicating to the residents. An example of this is currently in my building, there's 0 forms of communication. There's no phone number, nothing. So we don't know even who owns the building as of now. I believe 2 things should happen. I believe more bylaws should be made in regards to sanitation, in regards to the management being responsible in terms of communication. Because if there's no communication, there's no way to report sanitation to the management. And I know Côte Saint-Luc has the ability to pass bylaws in regards to sanitation. Secondly, I've been told that there's only 1 inspector for the entire town now, and I know they are looking for Côte Saint-Luc. However, I believe the second inspector should be responsible for apartment buildings in Côte Saint-Luc, considering over half the dwellings in Côte Saint-Luc per Statistics Canada are apartment units. I believe this would help a lot of residents and would be a lot easier for an inspector to get the apartments in the close density to inspect. And furthermore, I don't really think the actions of the property managers in my area should be tolerated. I wouldn't consider them slumlords yet, but the behavior does feel like it, considering right now there's no info. We can't contact them. There's no phone number. Even the janitor can't contact them sometimes. So my question is, what has been done and what is going to be done in the near future?
Okay, so I do appreciate your coming here and your various emails I've received over the years. I appreciate your activism. It's a difficult situation. I mean, there's certain things the city can do in terms of inspection, bylaws, enforcing bylaws, and there's certain other areas, because it's apartment dwelling, that the rental board has jurisdiction. So the things that come under rental board jurisdiction, I don't know if
Recording in progress.
I don't know if you have a tenants association, but ideally, large complexes that have many tenants benefit from having a tenants association, which can then deal with the various issues that they feel are not being addressed, that the city can't deal with. So that's one aspect of it. I don't know if Councillor Cohen wants to add anything, since you know more about the buildings, these particular buildings.
Yes, first of all, happy to see Jeremy. He is a model citizen who has been very involved in all aspects of the community, and I always appreciate his learned advice. And I'm sorry for him and his family who are suffering, as many people are. Councillor Burke, who's been a good guide to me, I can tell you unequivocally, as I stated to your mom on Côte Saint-Luc Ideas the other day, that we have put more emphasis on these 5 buildings probably in the last few months than any building. We have, what, Stephen, about 200 apartment buildings in Côte Saint-Luc, at least? So, these are 5. And I am walking the block several times a week. I am stopping people and asking them if they have any issues. If they do, I'm taking it down on my notepad. Many, like your family, email me regularly. Now they have they have 2 property managers, and they have a representative of the ownership who will only communicate with me by email. But I was able to get the 2 property managers to meet with me in person, and I made it very clear to them, because the word is that they've even told me that the buildings are up for sale again, which will be good news for the tenants, and it'll be good news for finance department if we get another welcome tax. So it's win-win for everybody. So right now, they're apparently up for sale, and I told them, look, not cutting the grass, it's not going to help you sell. Having a garage door that's not fixed for 5 days, an elevator that's not working. So while normally none of us on council would be contacting property managers about an elevator or about grass not being cut or a garage door, because these are tenant-landlord relations, I've gone the extra mile. And very unfortunately, our building inspector, one of only 2, just left us this week, and he was specifically taking a hard line. Mr. LeMay, he's gone on to work for the City of Montreal. It's a big loss for us, and it's a big loss for the people in the 5 buildings. I would appreciate it if Councillor Burku would just say a few words in terms of the tenant-landlord relations issue, the line that's drawn between what we can do and what we can't do, because I think a lot of people in the buildings don't understand they think that we could legislate them to fix a garage. And trust me, we're trying very hard. But if you could, with your expertise, Councillor Burko, I really would appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. So, in fact, I met someone yesterday at the St. Patrick's 60th anniversary, St. Richard's Church 60th anniversary, who came up to me and said that her sister, lives in the building and is really going through a very stressful time because she sends in her check and it doesn't get acknowledged, and she doesn't know if the landlord is, trying to use that to evict her, and then different, interruptions in service, etc. So we're very aware of it. But as Councillor Cohn says, we can't be there, 24/7 inspecting. Obviously, that's too much to ask. When there was an issue with the elevator, I think we immediately called the RBQ. I mean, we're responsive, right? And that's our role. We respond. We cannot intervene in, in a proactive way because we have an inspection department. So you have to file a complaint, and then the inspector will go and inspect. And so far, I think we have inspected quite a lot. But if you have serious complaints about services, I think the only thing to do is to really get together as a tenants association and file a complaint at the rental board. And you've been, I don't know, I mean, I referred, some lawyers, and I don't know where that's going, but I think that's your main recourse.
Could I have a follow-up
Yeah.
question? So in regards to what you said, I kind of prepared for this. In the past, when the situation of tenant landlords was brought up to council, they would say the town isn't responsible for that. It's the TAL, it's the Régie. And then after the rent eviction bylaw, the town would say the same thing, in addition to the town is not responsible for the tenant-landlord relationship except the rent eviction bylaw. My point being, I believe the town does play a part and can interfere in this relationship as per the rent eviction bylaw that was passed. I believe more could be done in a way because a lot of these issues are related to sanitary conditions. And I'm not asking to target the specific building, but to put bylaws in place that protect tenants in general. In regards to sanitary conditions, as Mike Cohen mentioned, the garage door, it was open for 2-3 weeks. The landlords wouldn't answer. They wouldn't answer the janitor. They had to contact the old manager of the building to find a company to fix the garage. And personally, I don't care it's a garage door, but the point is there should be more bylaws in place that allow the city to just enforce more sanitary conditions, because at this point, it's going to get worse. And the buildings aren't sold yet. And until they are, it's just the conditions getting worse.
So in terms of the rent eviction bylaw that exists
Yes.
to protect tenants against rent eviction, and it allows us to do certain things, I don't know if this is the case, that there's something in that bylaw that we're not enforcing. If not, we can review it, or you could try to point us in the direction of where you see we're not enforcing something that we're able to enforce in that bylaw. With respect to any other bylaws that you would suggest for us to do, I'd really appreciate an email with a list of the type of nuisances that we could, in your opinion, even though you're not a lawyer, we should look into. Or maybe you are a lawyer?
I do write bylaws, so.
Okay, no, but the ideas,
Yeah.
your ideas of what you think we could do, because we can't just do anything
No, I
that
know.
we want. We can't do anything. It has to make sense. It has to come under the jurisdiction of a city.
Yes.
But if there are certain ideas that you have, please send them by email and we'll review to consider if there's something that we're missing. Councillor Early.
Yeah, I just want to add a few points. First, it's good to see Jeremy. I remember
Yes.
as an honor roll student at Westmount High when I was
Thank you.
the VP at that time. I was going to say, we had discussed it a few years ago, looking to force landlords to do building audits, basically, to do audits of their building that they would have to present to the city so that we can make sure they were doing the necessary changes. It is something we had discussed. So I think maybe it's time to take that off the table and continue that discussion. So just to be transparent, it's not something that will happen overnight because it still will take time, but it is something we could look at more as a long-term issue. And I'll just mention, we had two inspectors. One of them left. We still have one who's an amazing inspector, but we are looking. So if anyone who's in the audience or watching has experience. We're hiring, and we have our associate city manager and director of HR here. I actually sent a CV to the director of urban planning. So if anyone knows someone, we're looking to hire a new inspector for urban planning. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Okay, thanks a lot. We have a couple of questions online, if you're going to read them. Yeah, Councillor Sabag.
I know he's leaving, but I wanted to add quickly that, no, he left, it's fine.
Put it on the record. Anyway.
No, but I just, I think it's important to note that a lot of the times we say that it's not within our boundaries, but I can say for a fact that this council has been probably the most tenant-friendly council. When we can do something, we do. We created the tenant portal, and we listen to our residents for hours on end on their issues. And I do think that when it comes to sanitation as well, that's something that we can absolutely do, right?
Sure.
And the inspections are there, but to Councillor Erdely's comment about bringing back certain audits, I think we spoke about that briefly around testing generators and lighting for emergency situations, and having logs to attest to all these quality control tests, and I think that's something that we definitely should bring back to the table. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
So we have a question from Mr. Norman Seben. As you read these words, I'm frantically packing for my move tomorrow, June 18. I'm moving to a condo on Norwalk, a dead-end street of Shalom. My move generates two questions for council. First, the seller has left me a George Steck piano, a well-known brand since the 1850s. It is an upright piano, 40-inch install, with a beautiful wood finish. It is in good condition and sounds fine to me and others. Given the fact I do not play piano and need space for furniture, I hereby offer this piano to the city of Côte Saint-Luc. I'm sure the city will find good use for it, and it gives me pleasure to donate it. Would council be interested in this offer? If so, please contact me and come check it out. Second, Norwalk has only 5 parking spaces on the north side for the entire street. There is no parking on the south side and no parking on the turnaround at the east end. Given the fact there are 3 8-story buildings on Norwalk and 8 duplexes, can we add some parking?
Okay, I don't have an answer for you about the piano, but that's something that has been sent to our library director for review. So we'll get a response back from Director Janine West. With respect to the parking situation, right now there are renovations that are going on in one of the garages, so there's more cars that are parked on the street with permits, which is causing more problems, but that's a temporary situation. As for adding more parking spots on Norwalk, unfortunately it's not safely possible because relaxing the parking ban in the traffic circle or allowing parking on both sides of the street would seriously compromise emergency vehicle access. Heavy vehicles such as ambulances and fire trucks would be particularly affected, which would compromise their emergency response. This would also generate major logistical problems for waste collection, which also requires heavy vehicle access. So it is a roundabout dead-end street, and we have the maximum amount of parking spots that are available safely that exist right now. So that's the situation. Next question.
Next question is from Mr. Mark Asayag. Would the council kindly consider revisiting the permitting for use of Isaac Rabin Park by event of the Beth Zion congregation? This event, which is exclusively reserved for Beth Zion congregation, constitutes a nuisance for the residents of Hudson Avenue. Attend this park haphazardly and with total disregard for both rules and residents. It hardly seems fair to be crowded in your own home. The synagogue can hold events in their building, as we all do. At the very least, I would please ask the residents on the streets be made aware of forthcoming events so that they may have the option of being away during those times. I suggest a web page for permitted events to be posted. I may additionally suggest that permitting be made a public vote on these sites. It may surprise the town that many are looking for a voice to oppose the current permitting practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Our public spaces, such as parks, are used for various purposes. There have been certain events that took place in that particular park that were out of control, in our opinion. They were, I wouldn't say that they weren't, we controlled it because we had public safety and police presence, but we weren't happy with the amount of people and the different things that were happening there. So we are reviewing our policies in terms of trying to be more careful and stricter with the way in which we allow our public spaces to be used, but they are to be used. We're not going to stop allowing people to use our parks or to have events or weddings in the parks. That is something that will continue, but it has to be done in a reasonable way and in a safe way. So we are reviewing the manner in which we're going to enforce safety and security while using those areas. Okay. The next question, please.
Next question from Mr. Mitch White. Recently, the Recreation Department convened a pickleball volunteer committee and applied, however, it appears to be arbitrary and inequitable practices in forming that group. For example, brothers in separate households were informed that both could not serve on the committee, but a married couple living in the same household were selected. Additionally, a non-Côte Saint-Luc resident was awarded the position of being able to offer private lesson at the annex when there was an option to offer this to a qualified Côte Saint-Luc resident. How do we ensure that the methods for forming these committees and job opportunities are fair and transparent?
Well, that question to me seems to be a question you're damned if you do or you're damned if you don't. Here we created a committee in order to receive input on how we could do better for pickleball, and now we're getting criticized for getting the community to provide input to council. So maybe it wasn't done in a way that satisfied all residents and the questioner in this particular case, but it was done in good faith by the Recreation Department in order for the department to do better by getting input from those who use the facilities. So I apologize if you're not happy with the way it was done, but it was certainly done in good faith with the best interests of the residents of Côte Saint-Luc. Anything else? No other questions? Thank you. Okay, so then we'll move on to the rest of the agenda, which is approval of the minutes. Councillor Cohen. Thank you.
I so move, Mr. Mayor, that we approve the minutes from the meeting of May 13th, 2024.
Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Seconded by Councillor Sabag. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to business arising. Any government correspondence, which we don't have, so we'll go to departmental reports. Moved by Councillor Schuster.
The monthly departmental reports submitted for May 2024 are hereby approved as drafted.
Seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion? Councillor Coe.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, I'd like to congratulate a member of one of my constituents, Elliot Lifson, who's already an Order of Canada. And Elliot, on Thursday, will become a member of the Ordre National de Quebec, François Legault. It's nice to see the Quebec government recognize a prominent Anglophone in the community, and congratulations to Elliot. And I'll be doing a blog, maybe even a podcast with him when he comes back from Quebec City. I had my district meeting last week, virtually. I want to thank Councillors Burku and Erdely for participating and giving some very good updates. Councillor Burku on the master plan and Councillor Erdely on the hydro project. We had the commander, our new commander of the police station, as the guest speaker. First guest speaker, he gave a great speech. There was a lot of ground covered, and people could go to my website, mikecohen.ca, and they can click on the YouTube link right on my report, and you can see the full meeting. As I said, Commander Darache we're just so lucky to have him. He's like, since Sylvain Bissonnette, we haven't had a more approachable commander, and he's covering such a big territory. So that was great. A lot of highlights. On this week, I believe it's going to be on Wednesday, actually, a new pediatric medical clinic will open up at the building at the corner of Kildare and Cavendish. Aaron Beaton and the family from their family company, they've really been revamping that building. So they're also looking at having a blood test center that's going to be moving in soon. I believe it's going to be a private blood test center. They're looking into radiology possibly, and maybe even a clinic for adults. So this is just for any parents living in the community to have a new pediatric clinic. Stay tuned. I'm waiting for an interview for my blog with all the details. The Côte Saint-Luc Cats Committee, you know that the last month Diane Liebling came here with members asking the council for some more support, and it was made very clear that we're not in a position to change any budgets between now and the end of the year, but hopefully we'll take a look at it. So in the meantime, I initiated a public relations campaign. We got coverage from CTV, the Gazette, CJD, a lot on social media, and we've now raised already, since the last council meeting, actually the last 2 weeks, over $7,300. I want to thank Marissa Seidel, who was the first person that stepped forward with a $2,500 donation. We had another one from a lady living in Sutton who used to live in Côte Saint-Luc, who gave us a $2,000 donation. We had some others. They're still coming. People can still send a donation to the city of Côte Saint-Luc. We believe this will help us finish the year, but we are not going to be in a position necessarily to count on these donations every year or to get this time of media coverage. So we're hoping that we'll have a better financial year and that we'll be in a position to get the budget reinstated that they had 2 years ago. So those are my main highlights. Madam Pro Mayor, those are my main highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cohen. Thank you, Councillor Cohen. Anyone else want to? Yes, Andy Schuster.
Thank you, Pro Mayor. A few highlights for recreation, both from past and upcoming. The Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society presented Into the Woods between May 16th and June 2nd at the Greenspawn Auditorium for 17 public shows and 2 Friday school shows for local schools, including JPPS and John Grant and Wager. We had nearly 2,000 people attending the production, and some residents told me that they felt it was as good as Broadway. I'd like to thank all those who contributed to the spring production, including our many volunteers on stage and off stage, and including our VCOPs. May saw the opening of some of our outdoor sports facilities, including Rembrandt Tennis Courts, Caldwell Tennis Courts, the Côte Saint-Luc Tennis Club, and the Sports Annex Pickleball Courts. Pickleball memberships hit an all-time high with nearly 400 members who now have access to Pickleball en ligne software to facilitate their court reservations. Among our other facilities that are opened is the Parkhaven Pool, which is still in its preseason hours and then opens full out the Saint Jean weekend. We are hosting, we are part of, the world's largest swimming lesson coming up on June 20th at Parkhaven Pool at 4 o'clock. This is an initiative that spans multiple cities, and we're trying to be part of the Guinness Book of World Records. Global water safety educates families about drowning prevention and critical need for life-saving swim skills. And to avoid aquatic accidents, we do encourage everybody to participate in swim lessons. More details can be found on the CôteSaintLuc.org website. Also, June 20th is we're celebrating Indigenous Day with the Modern Mohawk Family Dancers, who will perform at 5 p.m. So that is after the swim lesson. Splash into Saint Jean is June 23rd, also at the Parkhaven Pool from 11 to 5 p.m. with live music and line dancing. Very exciting are Canada Day festivities at Trudeau Park from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. Again, we have inflatables, live band, delicious treats, and a laser show. There will be no fireworks or drones this year, but we have a fantastic laser show to offer. Also new this year, there will be a $5 bracelet offered to you purchase a $5 bracelet. Why can't I speak today? Thank you. Bracelet for access to inflatables, face painting, train ride, pedal boats, or you can do $1 per activity. And all the funds collected go to the Recreation Bursary Fund, which Councillor Cohen mentioned earlier, helps to subsidize programming for those who couldn't otherwise afford it. Summer in the City, you might have seen the flyer for Summer in the City. This is a collaboration between the Recreation Department and the library. The schedule is now out and can be found at cotesaintluc.org/events. Check out the array of cheap and free events and activities to keep you entertained and active all summer long, from cinema to literacy, outdoor fitness, music, and cultural offerings. Just a reminder to our residents to please keep hydrated during the extreme heat and to play safe, wear a helmet on bicycles and similar vehicles. And I just want to give a thanks to Director Ziga and the entire recreation team for all their hard work in providing fun and wholesome programming to get people off their phones. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. Is there any other councillor? Yes, Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I'll start on the finance side. So in the month of May, we received $29.4 million that was deposited into the Côte Saint-Luc accounts, most of which was from the second installment of taxes. On a highlight, one of the big issues last year in 2023 was transfer duties or the welcome tax. So just to remind everyone, last year we had budgeted $4 million, which was low considering the previous few years we were in the vicinity of $4 to $8 million. Last year, as you know, interest rates were quite high, sales were low, and we fell short of the target, and we only hit 2.8 million. So that was, again, 2.8 million in the entire year. I can tell you as of the numbers just till the end of March, we are at 2.7 million. So just, if you can imagine, just in 3 months, we've almost hit the total of last year in its entirety. And based on the numbers from last year, we put the budget quite low at about 2.6 million. So we've already exceeded the budget for the current year in terms of transfer duties. We hope, we all heard the interest rates dropped about 0.25%. Hopefully that'll continue to drop. That's not something that we can decide at Côte Saint-Luc, but of course, I hope for my mortgage as well, it does drop. And people will continue to buy homes and possibly apartment buildings too, which I won't mention that again. But hopefully there'll be more sales, and of course it'll help the city in the long run in terms of helping us to do capital projects and so on. Also on the finance side, we processed so far 48 water filter rebates. So remind everyone, if you live in a home that may have a lead service line, please have your filter, please purchase a filter, and there are rebates depending on what type of filter. More information on our city website. And I don't see Councillor Cohn, but I was going to mention, in terms of pet permits, we're up to 522 pet permits. So reminding residents, if you have a dog or cat that is outside of your house, please get a tag so that in case it's lost, it can be found by either our public security officers or VCOPs. And speaking of VCOPs, in the month of May, we had 82 shifts. Our volunteers worked at 6 special events plus multiple performances of the Côte Saint-Luc Dramatic Society performance, which I saw, which was an excellent one, and did many institutional watches as well in terms of synagogues, in terms of cultural sites, schools, and so on. So we really appreciate their service. On the environment front, on May 23rd was our compost giveaway. We had 286 residents who came out, 100 of which received tomato plants. So we hope to continue doing this at least on an annual basis. And finally, switching to District 4. Well, one thing will come up a bit later, so I'll park that one. That comes later on in the agenda, but I just want to mention in Fletcher Park, we have a drop-in program for children ages 5 to 17. So that is weekdays from 3 to 7 p.m. at Fletcher Park, starting on June 25th, going till August 16th. I had the chance to pop in a few times myself to see. It's really a great, program for children who don't have the opportunity to go to summer camp, either day camp or sleepaway camp. So there's an animator there that's on site that organizes different activities. So I encourage residents who live in the vicinity of Fletcher Park Again, weekdays 3 to 7 p.m., June 25th to August 16th. And finally, on just the last one for District 4, we have road construction projects starting, I think they may have started today. I didn't have a chance to pass by, but they'll be starting, if not today, then in the next few days, on Arcadian and Smart from Arcadian north past Côte Saint-Luc Road to the tracks. So those will be major renovations. That section of Smart was one of the worst in my district. I know the residents were asking for a few years, but we had to just get into the rotation. So those will be done starting either today or in the next few days. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Who's next? Go ahead, Councillor Sabag.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Lots to report. On the public safety side, we always try to be as proactive as possible. Our dispatch unit responded to 50 to 100 calls last month with an average, and we try to keep that average as low as possible for a wait time of about 17 seconds for our residents. So this is something that we monitor constantly because we want to make sure our residents get someone on the phone as fast as possible. In terms of speed and response time for EMS, happy to say that our volunteer, as usual, came out in great numbers, covering 100% of the shifts for EMS, totaling close to 2,000 hours of volunteer work. And I wanted to mention a couple of names in terms of years of service anniversaries. Eddie Afram, 11 years, who's now moved on to from a position of director of EMS to now working as a consultant, and is still with us as long as he can to give us as many hours as possible as a volunteer EMS first responder. Amanda Boliveau, also 11 years. Paris Tsovras, also 5 years. And then we have a nice group of Atik Siddiq, Elliot Robinson, Kia Saint-Pierre, Nick Dulis, and myself, who are celebrating 3 years. We were in the same cohorts together, so 3 years, which I think was the first group to graduate out of our academic center at the ACC. And then finally, Matthew Liman with 2 years of service. I know Councillor Early talked about the VCOPs, but I just wanted to mention quickly something that's dear to my heart is the blood drive, the Ruth Kovac blood drive. And if you go to different blood drives like I do, Côte Saint-Luc has an amazing blood drives, and it's because of the number of VCOPs that are there constantly. From the moment you come in to the moment you leave, the VCOPs are there. And so thank you for making that blood drive quite an experience and for a great cause as well. Some district-specific issues that I'd like to cover real quick. And as most of you know, my district is a little bit different than most, I would say. The construction has been just annihilating my district between McDonald, Dupuis, Vézina, all that from the city of Montreal. I want to thank the engineering department for communicating as often as possible with the city of Montreal to find out, how we can fix certain issues around traffic. But I want to tell my residents that I'm trying to communicate by paper, by email as often as I can on what to expect so they can minimize any delays getting to work, getting the kids to school. But it's really something that's out of our control, and I hope we continue having better communication with the city of Montreal, because it's been a real challenge for me, for our residents, when it's something that's completely out of our control. That's it for me. Thank you.
Who's next? Councillor Burger? Councillor Benizri.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I can just mention concerning public works that the month of May, we celebrated the Public Works Week from May 19th to the 25th. On May 21st, we welcomed 2 schools, Merton and Les Amis du Monde, into the department to learn all about what is that Public Works does for the city and its residents. had the opportunity to come, and I know that Mr. Mayor also was present. It was nice, to meet this student, and I saw that they wanted to learn, and they were very amazed, about all the tools and the trucks and the flowers, whatever the department is doing for the city. I just want to mention also that on May 22nd we had a staff appreciation barbecue, so it was nice to see all the team for Public Works, enjoying this day and showing them journée reconnaissance, that we appreciate all the work that they're doing, and it was the campus giveaway. My colleague, Councillor Erdely, mentioned it already it was part of the week. And also the rest, I think it's business as usual. I just wanted to mention, this week during May. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Berger, then I'll speak a few things.
Thank you. I just want to follow up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to follow up on what Councillor Erdely mentioned with regard to the Recreation Department having a person at Fletcher's Park in order to animate the youth. Happy to report that Côte Saint-Luc, through the leadership of Cornelia Ziga and her Recreation Department, have obtained again a subsidy for the Singerman Park. This is very important to us. We are not a high-income privileged community, as some people might think. There's a lot of people in our community that have, financial needs, and we were trying to recognize that through our park program at Singerman Park. We've had it now for many years, and once again this year we got a subsidy, which is coordinated through the Recreation Department, and there's going to be 60 young people going to camp for 8 weeks, and they're going to enjoy all the programming that is offered in all our other camps, but it's a subsidized camp, and we really appreciate that, and it's in my district, and I take great pleasure and great pride in seeing that happen. So I want to just mention that. It's right behind Merton School. Now, very briefly, I just want to mention something about Cavendish. On April 19th, the City of Montreal announced the new Namur Hippodrome plan. That plan is 108 pages. It goes into a lot of detail, but there's one thing that's very clear. It's that plan is a plan for housing without Cavendish. So they rely on the Jean Talon access with a bike path and a tramway. But given the present circumstances of the transport deficit, collective transport, public transport, I mean, we're seeing it at the CMM and at the ARTM, at the STM. There is a serious deficit, and the Quebec government is not coming to the table with proper financing for transit. So the focus really has been, now that the City of Montreal has announced this plan, they went to the federal and provincial government. They got pledges of $2 million from each level of government in order to do a feasibility study. And the issue now is that municipal leaders are very clear, the three mayors from the three municipalities that are deeply concerned about this, and we're all very clear that you cannot build Namur Hippodrome housing without transit, without Cavendish. So we have, once again, we've met with the Cavendish Business Alliance. We held a little meeting with the Cavendish Business Alliance. We explained to them that they have until June 21st to submit briefs to the City of Montreal, and so the City of Côte Saint-Luc is submitting a brief. The other members of the Alliance, DeCarry Square and the other, Carbon Leo and so on and so forth, all the members are working on submitting their briefs to emphasize that it's very important that Cavendish be followed through. The other thing is that there's a new Cavendish caucus, which is made up of MPs, MNAs, and the mayors have all gotten together. These are from the districts that surround the Namur de la Savane area. So it's Salarat, Mount Royal, Outremont, and Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, and so on. So all the MPs and MNAs and mayors from these areas have gotten together. They met with Minister Sean Fraser last week in order to impress upon him that it is very, very important that the federal government, as well as the provincial government, but the federal government, because they now have billions of dollars to give for housing, that they not give money for housing without demanding that the transport be there in order to service that housing. So not to finance the housing without the transport. So again, not to finance or not to give funding to Namur Hippodrome without requiring the Cavendish extension or other alternative methods which the City of Montreal is working on, but which they're not including the surrounding cities. So we need that collaboration. Suddenly, up until 2022, there was collaboration. We went to the BAP with a plan, a mobility corridor, which all the parties agreed to, and suddenly now they've dropped the Cavendish, and they're coming up with all these fantastic, and I mean it in a kind of fantasy kind of way, alternative options, which we don't feel are going to satisfy the needs for transit. So we're asking the federal minister not to give the financing without demanding that the original condition of the Cavendish, of the Hippodrome agreement be met, which is to build the Cavendish extension. This week, as I said, the City of Côte Saint-Luc and many members of the Alliance are going to be filing the briefs before the June 21st deadline. And finally, a petition will be filed with the National Assembly, also asking the Quebec government not to finance housing without Cavendish, because that is the essence of the original Hippodrome agreement. That's the reason why they gave the Hippodrome in order, one condition, and that's to build Cavendish. So we recognize the housing needs, but we need good transit to fuel and promote good development, and one goes with the other. So that's basically the new focus, and I'll be going to the Aglo and repeating the same message there. And I hope that we're going to make some headway, because I can tell you right now, with all these fantastic plans that are on the table, without the support of the federal and provincial government, the City of Montreal is not going to be able to do these plans. So that's where we're putting our focus, with the two levels of government to say don't finance housing without the proper transit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burko, and thank you for all your hard work on this. The reality is now we have the business community that are very clear that they need Cavendish in order for their developments to move forward, in order for residents to want to move into those developments, in order for the businesses to succeed. People need to be able to get there. They need to be able to get in and out, and they're not all going to take their bikes or public transit. There has to be the Cavendish extension. We also, the meetings that we've had with the federal level, with all levels of government, pushing for the fact that they should not fund. There was an agreement. They got for $1, they got the Hippodrome with one condition to build Cavendish, and that condition has to be enforced. And no levels of government should fund those projects without ensuring that the Cavendish extension is done. Right now, it's just on the back burner for we don't know when. It's somewhere in the distant future, maybe. So we have to bring it back to where it's supposed to be. BAP studies were supposed to be done in 2017. They still haven't been done, the Bureau d'Audience Publique. So a lot of good work by the committee with Councillor Burku and the mayors from Saint Laurent, from TMR, working very hard together with Côte Saint-Luc. So I do want to mention two things that I don't think were mentioned. This Sunday, many of us attended the 60th anniversary of St. Richard's Church, which is a very important community church in our city. And Father George Joseph was there, as well as the bishop. I forget the name of the bishop that was there. And former fathers like Father Laviolette, who played a very important role in the building of the city of Côte Saint-Luc and in speaking towards many of the values that we believe in, such as in 2013 when Father Laviolette spoke at the Charter of Values rally that we had in front of City Hall about tolerance and understanding that individuals, whether their background, their race, their religion, their sexual orientation. We are all individuals, and we should all respect each other and should be allowed to wear the kippah, the turban, the hijab, the cross. And that was a rally that we had that he spoke at. Going to that celebration really felt great. We have a certain segment of our community in Côte Saint-Luc that attends that parish that are so accepting and welcoming of everyone, no matter your background, and you feel it there. You feel safe. You feel good. Doesn't matter where you're from or what your political beliefs are, you feel great. And I really want to thank Father Joseph and the community. Former City Councilor Joe Panuto is one of the organizers, along with Mina, I forget her last name, and they did a wonderful job. So congratulations to them for their 60th anniversary, and may they have many more. I also want to mention, I'm sure it was already mentioned, but Into the Woods, not only did we serve over 2,000 people who came to see the show and buy tickets, but we have two special shows, very special shows. We had one with John Grant School, special needs kids, who came to see the show on a Friday afternoon, and one with Jewish People School kids. And those were probably two of my favorite shows, because you were providing lessons, because the show was really about living life to the fullest and knowing that really in life there is no happy ever after, because we have to deal with loss, with sickness, with all the realities of life, but we overcome those difficulties with friends, family, and community. And giving those audiences from the schools, and particularly those special needs kids, the ability to see quality theater really felt great. And you could see the kids and the young adults, those young adults, the John Grant students, really, really appreciated what they received that day. So thank you again to Anissa Cameron, Nick Burgess, and the entire artistic team. It was wonderful being in it with Councillor Andy Schuster and with Mitch Kajavsky as producer, one of the producers, along with the two of us. We had a great time, and I think we did a lot of good for the community at large, both the audiences who paid to see the show and the ones that we did free shows for as give back to the community for those schools. And if nothing else is...
Mr. Mayor, I would thank you very much. I want to add one thing. Today, you know, what you just mentioned.
The rally.
Yes, I think it's important that, you know, today, the mayor and Andy Schuster and myself and many other Côte Saint-Luc residents attended the rally in front of City Hall. And, you know, really enough is enough. I mean, it doesn't even make sense that we should be going to the City Hall of Montreal to ask, you know, Mayor Plante to enforce some rules and regulations, and the police should, you know, be acting in a way that allows the Jewish community to feel safe in the city of Montreal. I mean, we no longer feel safe, and that's really what the rally was about. It's enough. And it's unfortunate that it comes to this, but I think that I speak for the whole council, and I'm sure we all agree that we have to, there's got to be some order brought to this city. No more encampments, no more, you know, revolutionary schools and camps and on university grounds. No more shooting, no more, you know, threats. It's really gone too far. And
it has to stop. Absolutely. I mean, the speeches, Steve Sabag spoke well. There were certain speakers that, I mean, the message basically was enough is enough. But what we're suffering right now is you let an illegal encampment exist. Then they take it to, let's take over a building where they get arrested. Then they take it to, let's teach kids at a camp where we're going to advertise the camp with guns and rifles. And then let's take it to what's next. How is the city of Montreal and the police allowing it to evolve into a situation where you don't need a crystal ball about what's going to happen next? You need to take down the encampment. You need to do what's been done in other cities. We were just in Calgary. An encampment went up in the morning. It was taken down at night. There is no reason for individuals to be allowed to trespass on private property. You don't need an injunction to know that you're trespassing on private property and that McGill University has the right to have trespassers removed. They have to ask the police to do it. Valerie Plantz has to ensure that it's done and done now before the next thing happens. You don't need a crystal ball. It's not going to be good.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to point out that one of the speakers today was a Muslim student who was an ally. And I also wanted to point out that at St. Richard's Church during their Mass, they prayed for the hostages. So I just want to essentially illustrate that Côte Saint-Luc is a place for inclusivity and diversity, and that we help each other. And we've seen little evidences of that, but more allyship is definitely needed.
Okay, so moved and seconded. The departmental reports, all in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we'll go to Financial and Information Technology Services. Councillor Erdely, 7A.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to ITI Inc. for a cloud-based backup and recuperation solution, Commvault, for servers and Microsoft 365 data files for an amount of $77,550.40 plus applicable taxes for a 3-year term, that the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's operating budget. The Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0069, dated June 7, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses in the 2024 calendar year. That the beginning of each calendar year of the contract term, the Treasurer shall issue a Treasurer's Certificate attesting to the availability of funds at that time to cover the relevant portion of the described expense, and that the City's General Counsel be and is hereby authorized to sign the contract and all other related documents.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? Oh yeah, any discussion first?
Sorry, I'll just give a brief synopsis. So right now, the city has been using, or up until now, the city's been using, let's say, a company called Iron Mountain to store our data. So this is backup data. What happened was the city looked into others, see what others were doing, and we found that there's another company called Commvault, formerly called Metallic, that has been doing this, and they are actually part of the Centre d'Acquisition Gouvernementale, CAG, which is a provincial government, group tendering, and this is a more cutting-edge version of backups. So what this means ultimately is the threat, let's say, of ransomware, which is something that has affected many businesses actually in Montreal, across Canada. We will be, I don't want to say we'll be impervious, because that's a bit of a, but we will definitely be much more protected than we are now in terms of our data. So this is an excellent software that will help protect the information that the city holds, and hopefully, keep us safe from people wanting to do harm to our electronic data. Thank you.
Okay. Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. 7B. Councillor Erdely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby ratifies the contract with Micromel Inc. regarding the supply of information technology consulting services for the 2023 year for a total amount of $42,224.94, and that the council hereby extends a consulting service contract with Micromel Inc. regarding the supply of information technology consulting services for the period between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024, or until a new manager of IT service is hired for an amount of $48,000 plus applicable taxes, and that Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0070, dated June 10th, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses for the 2024 year.
Moved by Councillor Erdely, seconded by Councillor Benizzi.
So I'll give just a brief background on this one as well. So the city, I hate to say it, has been without a manager of IT services who's been on an extended leave since 2021, since April of 2021. Because of that, what we did was we hired a consultant who's been helping on an interim basis, so last year, and it's continuing. However, when we do find a new manager of IT, the contract with this consultant will end. Thank you.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? All in favor. Carried unanimously. 7C.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the attached list of disbursements for the period of May 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2024 for a total amount of $5,978,214.56 in Canadian funds, and that Treasurer Certificate number 24-0072, dated June 10th, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
So just to mention briefly the highlights, so we have a payment for our water management company, which is CMO, and then we have 2 bond repayments, which total about $2 million. So capital bond 27 and bond 30, and the rest is sort of the standard items. Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to D.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Groupe Gesfor Poirier Pension, Inc. for the characterization of material that may contain hazardous substances for certain city-owned buildings for an amount of up to $44,047.50, plus applicable taxes. That Treasurer Certificate number 24-0074, dated June 12, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Italy, seconded by Councillor Sabag.
So I'll just explain briefly. So this is a new accounting standard, SP 3280, that came into effect in 2023. And what this means is that each city has to do an assessment of potential contaminants that there may be in their buildings. For example, asbestos. So what we have to do is get a company to come to do an assessment and then figure out the cost to remove that potentially harmful material, hazardous material. And this is a requirement, again, that came into effect last year. Thank you.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously. And then we have... Okay, so that's it? Or is there another one? For now. Now we go to urban development. All right. So we're going to item 7, number 8. Okay. 8A, Councillor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council approves the hiring of the white-collar auxiliary employees whose names are listed on the document titled Auxiliary Employees White Collars Hiring, dated June 6, 2024, and that said employees' terms of employment will be as per the conditions of the collective agreement. That Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0067, dated June 7, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the above described expenses.
Moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Sabag. Any discussion?
Just that it's a name of day camp counselors and tennis club attendants.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 8B. 8B, so who is going to move this? You, Councillor Berkman? This is a collective agreement. Councillor Berkman, and then, okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc Council approves a collective agreement concluded with the Syndicat d'Écoles Bleues Regroupées de Montréal, SCFP, section locale 301, bearing a termination date of December 31st, 2025. Said agreement entitled Convention collective entre la Ville de Côte Saint-Luc et le Syndicat d'Écoles Bleues Regroupées de Montréal, SCFP, section locale 301, that the Mayor Associate, City Manager, and Director of Human Resources and Director of Public Works signed on behalf of the City of Côte Saint-Luc the aforementioned collective agreement.
Moved by Councillor Berkman, seconded by Councillor Italy. Any discussion?
So basically, this was a negotiation that was conducted by our Director of Human Resources, and we were actually very fortunate that there was a very collaborative dialogue going on. We avoided all the strikes and protests that happen in other cities. The negotiation was pretty smooth, and the final agreement, I think, was signed last week, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
You were there, I think, to sign it. And, the conditions are, we're not giving the conditions here, but they are available for those who are interested. And it seems like the blue-collar workers are happy with the result.
Everybody seems happy. It was very respectful. We were able to do it in-house, meaning our HR director and our public works director were our representatives. We didn't need outside legal counsel to negotiate the agreement, which saved the city a lot of money. And also, we had a very good relationship with the representatives from the Blues, who were also very respectful, and we came to a deal that will ensure peace, labor peace, and happiness amongst our staff, which we're very proud of. We're very proud of our staff, both the management level and the Blues that are involved in this collective agreement. So moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 9A. That one is Councilor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the settlement to address the matter concerning the tree located at 5701 West Luke. That council hereby authorizes the Public Works Department to fell said city tree. That council directs the Public Works Department to order and plant a new tree as a replacement for the felled tree in accordance with the city's tree replacement policy and guidelines. That the city clerk is instructed to provide appropriate notifications to the residents of 5701 West Luke of the tree removal and replacement.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Burku or Councilor Burku, right? Any discussion?
Yes, this is just to fell a tree that was has ongoing damage and damaged property, vehicle of the said home. So the tree will be removed, it'll be felled, and it'll be replaced by a new tree.
Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move to 9B. Councilor Kajowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby accepts the offer to purchase agreement with the purchaser regarding the property located at 5817 Smart Avenue, owned by Mrs. Irina Ilyaev. And this for the amount of $84 per square foot for a total of $38,245.20 plus applicable taxes, namely $43,972.42. That council hereby ratifies the city clerk's signature of the offer to purchase agreement with the purchaser. That the city clerk be authorized to sign on the city's behalf a notarial deed of sale incorporating the terms of the aforementioned offer to purchase agreement.
Moved by Councilor Kajowski, seconded by Councilor Sebag. Any discussion?
This is the purchase of the city-owned lane behind 5817 Smart Avenue, across the street from my old house. All the procedures were followed. Half of it was offered to the neighbor in the back, and they refused. So the resident is permitted to purchase the entire lot.
Okay, moved and seconded, all in favor? Unanimously, and now we go to C. Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby authorizes the city's general counsel to negotiate the terms and sign the summer season rental agreement for tennis camp and tennis programming and lessons with the Tennis and Sports Psychology Academy, Inc. on behalf of the city.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Minister. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to D. Councilor Schuster.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby authorizes the city's general counsel to negotiate the terms and to sign the letter of agreement with Avalanche Kids Hockey in regard to the financial contribution from the city to the organization for the 2024-2025 season.
Moved by Councilor Schuster, seconded by Councilor Kajewski. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor? unanimously, and now we move to 10A. Councillor Schuster. Fee schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hereby give notice of motion for bylaw 2627 to be entitled Bylaw 2627, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities for the fall of 2024 and winter of 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Schuster. And the tabling of draft bylaw.
I hereby table the draft bylaw 2026-2027 entitled Bylaw 20. Let me start again. I hereby table the draft bylaw 2627 entitled Bylaw 2627, creating the fee schedule for culture, sports, and leisure activities for the fall of 2024 and winter of 2025.
Thank you. 10B, approval of the grant. No. Yes. Okay.
Yep.
And now 10B. Approval of a grant
The
for
approval of the
candidate,
grant.
Councillor
Thank
Schuster.
you. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby approves the grant agreement with the Department of Canadian Heritage, Government of Canada, under the Celebrate Canada program for the implementation of the Canada Day, Saint Jean-Baptiste, and Indigenous Day events. That City Council requests the authorization of the Government of Quebec to enter into this agreement. That Cornelia Ziga, Director of Recreation, be authorized to sign this grant agreement.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by Councillor Kajavsky. Any discussion?
Just
All
that
in
we're
favor of getting the
grateful.
grant?
Happy to get money from the government.
Carried unanimously. And item C, Councillor Schuster, contract for hardware equipment related to media software.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Prologic Sécurité, Inc. for the purchase of hardware equipment related to Amelia software for an amount of $64,390.05 plus applicable taxes. That the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's operating budget. That the Treasurer's Certificate number 24-0071, dated June 10th, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer, attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Okay, moved by Councillor Schuster, seconded by
Councilor Kajavsky.
Councillor Kajavsky. Any discussion?
Just a brief explanation that the Recreation Department will be changing softwares for its programming registration and related softwares, and that this is to cover the hardware that goes with that software, so entrance to gates and other similar items.
Moved and seconded, all in
Just
favor.
a quick comment, Mr. Mayor. Thanks. Just and further to Councillor Schuster, is thanks to the staff who did the work
Absolutely.
researching this, and it comes very highly recommended. I asked around at FCM in Calgary, and the municipalities using the software absolutely love it. It's going to increase registration. It's going to make everything easier for people.
It's going to create a great user experience, and I've used it actually registering for a program in Montreal West. So I've been an end user, and it'll be a great thing for the city to get with the program and to make things easier for online registration.
I like that. Get with the program.
Get with the program. Moved and seconded, all in favor of getting with the program. Carried unanimously. And now we move to 11A, Councillor Benoussery.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat à Ford Canada Limité pour l'achat d'un véhicule électrique pour un montant de 80 887 $ plus les taxes applicables. Que les dépenses décrites soient financées du règlement d'emprunt numéro 2625, que le certificat du trésorier numéro 24-0063, daté du 4 juin 2024, a été émis par le trésorier de la ville, attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
proposé par le conseiller Binisri et appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
C'est pour l'achat d'un véhicule électrique.
Merci. Okay, go ahead, Stephen.
Can I just add?
Yeah,
As you
sure,
did?
sure.
So I just want to say this: there are a few exciting ones, a few exciting items on the agenda. This one and the next one, which we'll get to, but this one is a very exciting one. This is our first Ford F-150 Lightning electric vehicle, electric truck, and this will be the first of many. As you can imagine, the city of Côte Saint-Luc has many pickup trucks, so this is, I guess, our pilot project, which we'll be testing out. But obviously, if this is successful, it will be the beginning of many electric vehicles. And I'll just backtrack to last meeting for those who were here. We hired a consultant or a professional services company to look at the electrical needs of the Public Works Department. And part of that is figuring out how we are going to be able to manage, because at some point in the next 10, 20 years, every vehicle will become electric. So we need to make sure we have the electricity supply to be able to charge all these vehicles simultaneously. So it's something that we'll be working on and we'll continue to report on over the next few years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Erdely. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move 11B.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat pour l'achat d'un bloc sanitaire pour le parc Fletcher à Darcom Innovation Incorporée pour un montant de maximum 98 799 $ et 99 sous plus ses taxes applicables. Que le financement de cette dépense soit effectué du compte de surplus accumulé de la ville, projet lié au petit parc. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 24-0065, daté du 5 juin 2024, a été émis par le trésorier de la ville, attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Proposé par le conseiller Binisri, appuyé par le conseiller Erdely. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? Monsieur Erdely.
Le conseiller.
If I can add on this one as well. So this, again, is another exciting one. So Fletcher Park, which is in District 4 on Bailey, behind the police station shopping center, is probably the most used park per square meter in the entire city. Any time of the day in the summer, you'll see people playing basketball at the skate spot and the play equipment, and of course with our recreation counselor who's there, recreation animator who's there weekdays, of course. So one of the missing pieces was a bathroom. It's something we added in the last few years. Schuster Park, we upgraded the bathroom. Brownstein Park, we added a bathroom. So this is the next one. It's something we've been talking about for quite a few years. The company we're using is quite a reputable company. They've installed bathrooms at the Olympic Stadium in Blainville, St. Catherine, Mirabel for the Cirque du Soleil, and it is made using a recycled container, metal container, and hopefully it'll be graffiti-proof, although we hope there won't be any graffiti on it. So hopefully it'll stay nice and clean. But again, it'll be basically a resource for the residents who use the park. We'll have better access to bathrooms, so they don't have to run home to go and can continue to enjoy the park throughout the summer. Thank you. Merci.
Thank you. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Councillor
Kajavsky.
Again, just a little networking and conversation at FCM yielded that we've been getting very good deals on our bathrooms. It seems that Cornwall, Calgary, Inland BC, they've been paying significantly more money. And it's like upwards of $200,000. So we're getting
least.
excellent deals, and I think we should start looking into installing as many of these in our busiest parks as we can, obviously based on user data.
Calgary bathrooms were much more.
$4 for $1 million, I think it was, right?
Crazy.
Yeah.
So it's been moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously for bathrooms. Next, we go to C, 11C, Councillor Erdely.
Well, they don't have water, so.
Terrible. Councillor Binisri, go ahead.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le préambule fasse partie intégrante des présentes, comme si récité au long, que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc confie à l'UMQ le mandat de préparer en son nom et celui des autres organisations municipales intéressées un document d'appel d'offres visant à adjuger un contrat pour la fourniture de 400 bacs standard brun de 240 litres nécessaires aux activités de la ville pour l'année 2025. Que pour permettre à l'UMQ de préparer son document d'appel d'offres, la ville s'engage à fournir à l'UMQ toutes les informations requises en remplissant là où les fiches techniques et d'inscription requises que lui transmettra l'UMQ et en retournant ce document à la date fixée. Aussi bien que les besoins exprimés par la ville à ce stade-ci soient approximatifs, les quantités indiquées dans la fiche technique d'inscription doivent représenter le plus fidèlement possible les besoins réels anticipés de la ville. En conformité avec le cadre législatif applicable au regroupement d'achat de l'UMQ, cette dernière ne pourra donner suite à une modification des quantités que lorsque celle-ci constitue un accessoire au contrat et n'en change pas la nature. Que si l'UMQ adjuge un contrat, la ville s'engage à respecter les termes de ce contrat comme si elle avait contracté directement avec le fournisseur à qui le contrat a été adjugé. Que si l'UMQ adjuge un contrat, la ville s'engage à procéder à l'achat des produits qu'elle a inscrits à l'appel d'offres BAC-2025 selon les quantités minimales déterminées et autres conditions contractuelles. Que la ville reconnaît que l'UMQ recevra directement les adjudicataires à titre de frais de gestion un montant équivalent à 2% du montant facturé avant taxe à chacun des participants, qu'un exemplaire de la présente résolution soit transmis à l'UMQ.
Proposé par le conseiller Benizri, appuyé par le conseiller Burley. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions?
Oui, j'ai une question. Monsieur Schechter, est-ce que on va avoir le résultat de l'appel d'offres? Est-ce qu'on va savoir quel est le prix? Je veux dire, je sais que la ville va le savoir, mais est-ce que le conseil, est-ce que ça va être
Je crois que l'Union des municipalités du Québec vont également adopter une résolution et on pourra faire acheminer cette résolution-là. Je vais demander juste à la greffière d'écrire un petit courriel à notre service des achats que c'est eux.
Non, c'est sûr que le service de la ville va le recevoir, mais je me demande si le conseil peut recevoir.
Je vous suis. Ce que je vous dis, c'est que une fois que le service des achats va recevoir la résolution, on peut vous faire communiquer les résultats.
Oui, parce que je sais que le conseiller Erdely, il suit de près les prix des bacs bruns, bleus, noirs, et on va savoir si on a eu un bon prix ou si on n'a pas eu un bon prix.
Si je peux ajouter, so I'll just add, if we look at last year's numbers, for example, we paid about $94 per bin.
Well, that's what I want to know.
But
Are we
the
gonna get
UMQ got, because obviously the UMQ is purchasing a much larger quantity in terms of their tender, the quote was, the price was $67. So
we're
the
gonna get a
hope,
good deal.
now, that was 2023. Every year they go to a new tender. But the assumption is for 2024, it'll be in that vicinity of $67. And had we gone our own, we would have been paying much more. So we'll find out, of course, when the numbers come in. But I guess, you know, if I can just, in general, what hopefully you're those watching online or in the audience will hear is the pattern that we're trying to do more group tenders, be part of the UMQ or the CA, I guess the CAC group in terms of the provincial government's group tendering process, and hopefully that will continue to bring the price down. And generally, I think maybe in all the years, there was maybe one exceptional year with salt where we got a better price on our own.
Yeah, we got dinged because of the transport.
Yeah, I think 1 or 2 years with salt, we got a better price on our own. But aside from that, generally we get much better prices when we're part of these group tenders.
So I don't
Thank
want
you.
to miss this opportunity. I know the meeting is going very late, but I have a report from the AGLO about our performance compared to other cities, which I'm going to share with councillors around the table, and particularly those who are interested. We're not doing so great, okay? So Côte Saint-Luc, I mean, we're going to get great brown bins, but we got to use them. That's the most important thing. And maybe next meeting we can give an update as to how we are doing compared to other cities.
Okay, so that's item C, right? Moved and seconded, but not voted on yet?
Yeah.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we go to D.
Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat à garage expert pour l'achat d'un abri pour les ouvriers des travaux publics pour un montant estimé à 64 327 $ et 42 cents, plus les taxes applicables. Qu'additionnellement, la ville peut envisager un montant de 5 000 $ plus les taxes applicables pour d'éventuels imprévus, si nécessaire, qui devront être approuvés selon les procédures de la ville. Que les dépenses décrites seront financées intégralement à partir d'un prêt sans intérêt du fonds de roulement de la ville. Que la ville s'engage à fournir chaque année, à même ses fonds généraux, une somme suffisante pour rembourser l'emprunt au fonds de roulement. Que la durée de remboursement ne dépassera pas 5 ans. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 24-0074 a été émis le 12 juin 2024 par le trésorier de la ville attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites.
Okay. Proposé pour le conseiller ministre, appuyé par le conseiller Early. Est-ce qu'il y a une discussion? No? Good. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to E.
Et just going to E. Voilà. Merci, Monsieur le maire. Est résolu que le conseil municipal de la ville de Côte Saint-Luc octroie par la présente un contrat pour l'achat d'un camion 10 roues à W. Côté et Fils limité pour un prix négocié de 362 510 $ plus les taxes applicables. Que les dépenses décrites soient financées à même le règlement d'emprunt numéro 2626. Que le certificat du trésorier numéro 24-0064 a été émis par le trésorier de la ville le 4 juin 2024, attestant de la disponibilité des fonds pour couvrir les dépenses décrites ci-haut.
Proposé pour le conseiller ministre, appuyé par le conseiller Erdeling. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? No? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to engineering, urban development. Councilor Kujawski, A and B. Go for it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby awards a contract to Catalonia Construction for the construction of a retaining wall and a French drain for the City Hall ramp for an estimated amount of $20,937 plus applicable taxes. That furthermore, the city may consider an amount of 10% plus applicable taxes for any potential contingencies and extras if required that shall first be approved according to the city's procedures. That the described expenses shall be financed in whole from the city's working fund as a non-interest-bearing loan. That the city shall provide every year out of its general fund a sum sufficient to repay the loan back into the working fund. That the term of repayment shall not exceed 5 years. That Treasury Certificate number 24-0068, dated June 7th, 2024, has been issued by the City Treasurer attesting to the availability of funds to cover the described expenses.
Moved by Councilor Kujawski, seconded by Councilor Sabag. Any discussion?
It's just to do some work behind City Hall to make sure that the drainage is working properly in case of a heavy rain, and to avoid any flooding. We had a little bit of flooding in the auditorium area when there's a lot of rain, so now that will be fixed.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to B. Councilor Kujawski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby exercises the 3 option years of the tender contract C-07-22-27 for the management of the city water and sewer systems previously awarded to CMO Management, and this for the years 2025, 2026, and 2027. That the prices before taxes of each option year are as follows. For 2025, basic service $930,701.02. Do I need to read all the numbers? Metro Schechter? I don't need to read all the details in the chart, do I? Yeah? Okay. Okay, that's fine. So basic service in the years 2025, 2026, and 2027. 2025 previously read, so 2026, $967,929.06, and 2027, $1,006,646.22. Fees for services estimated for the years 25 through 27, $2,110,288.93, $2,194,700.49, and $2,282,488.51. And the total cost per year estimated is the sum of the above. 2025 through 27 is $3,040,989.95, $3,162,629.55, and $3,289,134.73. That, as soon as practicable at the beginning of each contract year, the city treasurer shall issue a treasurer certificate attesting to the availability of funds to cover the contemplated expenses for that contract year.
Moved by Councillor Kajewski, seconded by Councillor Schuster. Any discussion?
So this is for our water management for the 3 years mentioned. If you ever see the SEMO truck driving through the city, they're in charge of keeping us safe, making sure that water main breaks are quickly attended to. It's a very, very important service, I believe. Many slope driveways in the city of Côte Saint-Luc, and SEMO certainly protects us from issues, major issues potentially.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we go to item 13A. Okay, so Stephen, I guess, the water.
Yep.
Sprinklers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just give me a second. Be it resolved that the Côte Saint-Luc City Council hereby adopts bylaw number 2397-2, entitled Bylaw to amend the potable water use bylaw number 2397 to adjust certain provisions.
Moved by Councillor Early, seconded by Councillor Kajewski. Any discussion? Go ahead.
So I'll explain briefly. So this is one we've gotten some, we've gotten some feedback from residents, and I guess the biggest feedback was in terms of the preparation. And it's something we discussed, and I had mentioned in the past. It takes time in terms of residents, if they have a sprinkler system, to get a new timer system and make sure it's coordinated. So what we've done, I guess the biggest change is we've given residents a year, basically till June 1st of 2025. Now, we will be promoting this in probably, we talked about late summer. We'll be promoting this more in terms of residents to make sure they get the necessary tools and timers if they don't already have one. And basically what it means is for homes that are even numbered, they'll be able to water on Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those that are odd number or odd addresses will be able to water on Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Now, for those that have an automatic or programmable sprinkler, the times are still the same from 1 till 6 a.m. However, what we've done is a maximum duration of 15 minutes per zone, because what we realize is different homes have different numbers of zones, so the maximum is 15 minutes per zone. And for other watering, such as portable sprinklers or a hose, you can do it between 6 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. for a maximum of 45 minutes, and again on the days of the week mentioned. Now, my personal thought is, of course, we're not going to be clamping down and ticketing every resident, at least not at first. But the goal is to encourage people to not waste water, to think responsibly. I'll just go off on a slight tangent. I'm sure we've all been following the news as to what's happening in Calgary. Our infrastructure is getting older, and the city of Calgary is an example. They had a major water main break. Actually, it seemed like multiple breaks on their biggest, or one of their biggest lines, which created really a state of emergency, and it's going to take several weeks for it to be repaired. Now, we hope that doesn't happen in Côte Saint-Luc. We've spent a lot of money. We've relined about 25% of our pipes, which is probably one of the highest in the province, but we also know our pipes are old compared to other parts of the city. So it's something we're cognizant of, but all that to say, the goal is to encourage residents to be conscious of their use of water, to minimize when possible, and we hope everyone will still have beautiful lawns, even though they're watering it every second day. So again, more information will be shared later on in the summer, but this gives residents a bit more time to prepare for these changes and, again, to try to think responsibly when watering their lawns. Thank you.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor? Carried unanimously. And we move to 13.1. Borden.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the construction of a new two-story detached single-family dwelling following the demolition of the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560683 and prepared by Duval Design Architecture for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 14th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Jaffe, seconded by Councilor Burku. Any discussion? We already discussed
Yeah,
it.
it's a nice project. I think it's self-explanatory.
We discussed them in the demolition. So moved and seconded, all in favor? Carried unanimously, and now you go to the next one, 18.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the construction of a new two-story detached single-family dwelling following the demolition of the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560684 and prepared by Ariel Allen Architect for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 14th, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Jaski, seconded by Councilor Burku. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I want to ask our city manager a question. It just occurred to me. So the 17 and 18 are across the street from each other. And so I'm just wondering,
They're staggered like that.
they're literally across the street from each other.
Like two major projects.
Okay, yeah. So is there a way for the permits department to manage the demolition? Because we're granting it the same night. And so I'm just wondering how that's going to be managed. Yeah, right. Right. I mean, it's obviously one is going to want to go faster than the other. It's normal. They don't, and not everyone's on the same timeline, but it should be managed in such a way that they're not doing two demolitions at the same time.
Or at the very least, at the level of
Right, but it's
A lot of trucks coming through, hauling away materials.
two demolitions at the same time could be very difficult. So I don't see, we didn't put that condition in here in the demolition permit. We just said they have to apply for demolition permit, right?
But in our management follow-up notes, we can make a note of that.
They should, yeah, it should be in sequence, not at the same, in my view, it should not be at the same time.
Just asking engineering management staff to try to coordinate as best they can between the two projects. Traffic cop.
Yeah, well, one, and again, I repeat, I think one should be finished before the next one starts, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of disruption on the street. So it's possible to do them in sequence. That would be best. Not at the same time.
Okay.
Thank
Moved
you.
and seconded, all in favor? All in favor? Carried unanimously. And now we move to 5603.
We move to Borden. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing the construction of a rear extension and second-story addition on the existing detached single-family dwelling on lot 1560681 and prepared by Alt and Agape Architects for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 14, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Gajafsi, seconded by Councilor Burke. Any discussion?
This one came back and forth quite a bit. Finally, an excellent compromise with the residents. It's going to be another nice addition to Borden.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we move to Edgemore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that the site planning and architectural integration program showing front facade modifications to the existing semi-detached two-family dwelling on lot 1053793 for the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of May 14, 2024, be approved according to the provisions of Chapter 14 of Bylaw 2217 of the City of Côte Saint-Luc.
Moved by Councilor Gajafsi, seconded by Councilor Sydney in Israel. Any discussion?
This is just a refacing of the front facade on a duplex on Edgemore due to the bricks wearing down and water infiltration. Did a good job matching the old brick.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now minor exemption, Glencrest.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Be it resolved that in accordance with the provisions of bylaw G18-0005, the request for a minor exemption regarding the property located at 5582 Glencrest, lot 156-1239, being is hereby approved, the whole as more amply delineated hereunder. The request is to allow the construction of a new balcony and patio in the rear yard with a maximum total area of 75% of the rear yard instead of the maximum permitted total area of 50% of the rear yard. The whole notwithstanding the provisions of zoning bylaw number 2217, Article 4-4-6.
Moved by Councillor Gajewski, seconded by Councillor.
That's my district
Yeah,
as well.
also,
Yeah.
that's true, yeah.
Yeah.
Councillor Burke.
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion?
No,
Just an unusual shift. Why do you want to talk about
Yeah,
Glencrest?
no, it's just that, we're not in the habit of going to 75%, but this is a corner lot that doesn't affect any neighbors because it's got Bailey on one side and Glencrest on the other, so I think it's appropriate.
All in favor? Carried unanimously, and now we go to the Stance Diaglo, and then we have a varia. Stance Diaglo, Councillor Sabat.
I don't know.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Sabat, seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? Carried unanimously. Now we'll do a varia by Councillor Erlich.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Il est résolu que le préambule de la présente résolution en fasse partie intégrante pour valoir à tout fin que de droit, que le conseil municipal de Côte Saint-Luc approuve l'entente de départ intervenue avec l'employé numéro 3644 à compter du 17 juin 2024 de donner instruction à la directrice générale associée et la directrice des ressources humaines d'acheminer copie de la présente résolution à l'employé cadre.
Proposé par le conseiller Erlich et appuyé par le conseiller Nisri. Est-ce qu'il y a des discussions? No. An agreement?
Just, yeah, agreement with the former employee.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? It's passed with Councillor Sabat dissenting. Move for adjournment, Councillor Cohen. Seconded by Councillor Schuster. All in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.